In this video, I'm taking a traditional method called scratchboard and making it into a useful exercise to help anyone better their digital art. The purpose of this exercise is to help you look at your subject in reverse, which means being able to look at any reference and seeing shapes rather than outlines. It can also be a useful tool to work against your natural instincts. I'm using the all-new Wacom One 13 Touch, and the program is Clip Studio Paint. The tools I will be using in Clip Studio Paint is the G Pen, and I'm keeping the colors to just black and white. We'll be using this anime reference from Demon Slayer. There are going to be 3 stages to this exercise: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. In the beginner stage, we will be tracing this reference, but not in your typical way. What I want you to do is start to study the reference while you're tracing. Ask yourself questions like, what direction is this line? How thick or thin the line is? How many shapes can you see in the face? So let's begin by tracing out the entire character in a black, large, massive shape. Don't worry about the outline being exact. You can see I'm also adding a bit more to the top of the head. We're going to use this same shape throughout the other 2 stages, so don't stress, you only have to do this tracing part once. But make sure you keep this layer separate and locked after being done. When done, it should look like a black blob. Don't panic about doing anything in the background, we are leaving that out. Now turn down the transparency to this layer so you can see the reference underneath. Once you get it to the right transparency, we will start to outline and trace the reference in white. While tracing, be sure to understand it's okay if your lines are not exact or smooth. A few incorrect lines is just adding more character to your drawing. But remember, always studying the face while you're drawing it. Be sure to look around and see if you can mimic the line weight or even the same movement. Okay, now in the end, you should have a finished trace drawing which probably looks similar to this. Now to add more to this drawing, we are going to add some directional line shading to give more movement and dimension. I am also refining certain lines like the nose to make it pop out more. Remember, at this point, you are able to take your artistic liberties with this drawing. I decided to add some black lines to finish off some of the clothing. Remember, there is no wrong or right. You're just adding more or less characteristic traits to your drawing. But here's the final product. As you can see, it's definitely way different to the original, but you're able to see that this is a great step to finding your artistic signature. Now let's take what we learned here and move it to stage 2. Now in this intermediate stage, you'll be taking what you learned in the beginner stage to another level. You will be testing your freehand proportion, line work, cross hatching, and anything else you decide to add to this drawing. So being that we have already laid out the general shape, remember to turn the transparency down. We will begin this time only tracing parts of the face in which you have difficulties freehanding. So instead of tracing the whole face, we trace landmarks as a guide to help you. Here you can see my landmarks are the left side of the face, chin, eyebrows, parts where the eyes and nose divide, some hair strands, bottom of the nose, top and bottom of the ear, shoulder, and the earring. Now you can see all my guidelines are done, and yours may not look the same, but that's fine because everyone's approach is different. Before starting, here are some helpful tips on how to use landmarks. If you have the bottom of the eye drawn, you can use that mark to find the distance to the top corner of the mouth. You would then use that distance to help you freehand this information onto your drawing. These landmarks are here to help you with more precision when freehand drawing. Using the same method, you can look at the corner of the eyebrow to the curve of the flame. Here are a few more examples. Another technique you can use is finding large shapes and using those shapes as another measuring tool. Use this method as a general base to help you gesture in the proportions. You can see how I started my approach to my landmarks by attacking the eyebrow and moving around to the flames, but always looking for shapes and spaces. I decided to try something different and wanted to draw the white in the eyes and mouth. As you can see, this drawing does not have to be clean, so when you see the little black pieces in the eye and mouth, know that it's something you would see in a traditional scratchboard piece. So keep it in. Okay, here is my finished drawing. As you can see, I decided to add directional lines like we learned in the beginning of this tutorial, but also adding some black cross-hatching lines in the flames, a bit in the eyes, and a tiny bit in the mouth. Also decided to add white cross-hatching in the clothing and around the eyes. Cross-hatching shading can help your drawing have movement and energy. Here is the best part of this exercise. What I want you to do now is to turn the transparency down on both layers of the drawing. Now you're able to see how far you were to the original reference. As you can see, I'm not too far, but it's not a perfect copy. This is just proof that even though it's not perfect, it still has your artistic signature on it. Last but not least, the advanced stage. In this section, what we will be doing is the ultimate test. We will not be tracing anything but freehanding everything. This time around, we will not need to turn the transparency down at all. Just start a new layer and begin to take what you have learned from the previous stages and combine it all here. Take as many liberties you would like to, and most important, anytime you feel you had made a mistake, just cover it up with black and keep it moving. So as you can see, the first thing I do is start to lay the guidelines of the head, then laying the eyebrows and nose, then start to shape out the eyeballs and mouth. Now cutting out the shapes of the fire design on the forehead. Again, I'm never worried if I am exact or if my shapes are incorrect. I didn't like the flames being so dominant, so I blacked them out and redrew them. I decided I liked the directional line shading, which helped me see I could use that method combined with cross-hatching to help illustrate the lighting in the reference. Now moving on to gesturing the ear and working my way back to the eyes. I actually used some of the black cross-hatching in the eyes, which I did in the intermediate stage. I used directional line shading to lighten up the forehead, but I'm also mixing some black line work to bring out the eyebrows, eyelids, and flame designs. Jumping ahead, I took the liberty that I wanted the hair and clothing to be very loosely drawn, just so the viewers would pay more attention to the face of the character. Okay, once again, I wanted to show you how different my drawing is to the original reference. When I lower the transparency to my drawing, you can see nothing lines up, and yet it still resembles the character. Now, if you're asking, shouldn't the drawing look exactly like the reference? The answer is no, because you have to remember this is where you, the artist, is showing the viewers your artistic signature and your interpretation of the character. I really hope this scratchboard exercise helps you level up your digital art, but most importantly, gets you motivated to keep practicing and showing the world your creation. Thanks again for watching, and please like, share, comment, follow, and tag me or Wacom to show us your scratchboard creation.